Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's August 9th. It feels like Wednesday or Thursday as slow as this market's been, but it's only Tuesday, unfortunately. Today's going to be short and sweet. Not many trades. We had a trend up and a trend down, and it was that simple. Um, in the end, we closed almost unchanged again. But um, you can see we had a trend up. We had a break here, couple legs up, and then we turn down. Then we're moving down. You get a break here, move to a new low, and we turned up. Um, the few trades there were coming down were pretty good. The ones going up, a couple of them were okay. Nothing, nothing that really to write home about. This first trade, if you caught it, was a pretty good trade. If you missed it, there wasn't much happening the rest of the day, really till almost right before lunchtime. But let's talk about them. Again, it won't take long. Let me back out so you can see the big picture. You can see we had the move up and move back down, and we closed right here yesterday, right about where we're trading now, and we might have closed a point higher, something of that nature maybe. Just not much happening. But let me back out. This won't take long, and we'll finish today up. All right, notice we had this little correction here. Um, this is really a failed break. Notice how tight that is, and really this was a failed break. Honestly, you could have gone short here if you had a better signal bar, and you might have considered letting it break lower and drop a limit order in. I probably could make that one green. Um, we'll go ahead and do that, but it's iffy just because the signal bar is not that good, really. That's your actual signal bar that the arrow's pointing to, but your stop would still have to go above the swing high, which is this bar. So, but you're a good bit away from the EMA. Notice it's a breakout, so the first turn back down is probably going to be a failure. You can see it push down really quickly. And where does it bounce? Right where you're expecting a possible trend line. Bounces right there, but we don't have a break of that yet. I think it's too risky to go long there. You do get a couple of closes out here, side here, and then a push to a new low, and you get a nice reversal bar. So I like going long there on that one. That's the first really solid trade, and uh, it looks like it maybe closes outside, but that's so close I wouldn't count that as a close. You need a convincing close outside, and those don't really do it. In fact, the line may just be a little bit lower, like could be even a little bit lower than that. That probably actually looks a little better right there. And you see, and then you don't have a close. It's so close it's iffy. But I like going long there with just a stop above that bar. Um, this one takes on off. You might have caught a runner here, depending on how you entered it, what your signal bar looked like. It's probably close, but you could have caught a runner there, possibly. And notice this is a double bottom, so that would be treated like a failed second entry short. It does bounce off the trend line. It's not very bullish. It's right at a double top. I don't recommend it. Then it pulls back again, and it does the same thing, and it can't break above. And look how many times we've tested that right across there. And it can't break above. And so you're really mired in a little trading range here. You finally push to the other side, pull back, and you double test this. And so you might consider going long there because it's like a breakout pullback long, and it is two legs back as well. Noticing you high, you move down, you push up, you move down. So there's two legs back there. But more than anything, it's a double test real quick of that level that we've already tested a couple of times. So you might consider that one. I think you got to skip it. If you could have got in low down here near the lows, but notice you're going long right into those highs. I think it would have worked to the tick, and then it turns down. And depending on what your signal bar was like, if it's just like mine, and you didn't exit with your scalp, you got stopped out there. But that's why we scalp out, because some trades will only go the exact number of ticks that you need to get out. So um, You could have treated this like a failed break lower here, but that's a really big signal bar. Um, but it is a failed break out the top, a failed break out the bottom, and you are looking for it to retest the high here. That's the first close outside that trend line. And do notice, I think it's pretty close to being a measured move, real close. There's your first leg up, and then your little correction here. And so your next leg up, and you can see it's missed it by maybe a tick. So you could consider that 2 legs up. And so when that fails, you don't want to go short there because there's no break of that, and we're just slowly chopping up. And so this is looking like a fairly, even though there's not a lot of volume for what's there, it's an uptrend, and you got to treat it like an uptrend. But notice the push down. So really, you could argue for that one to be green as well. Really, almost could argue for that one to be blue. But the trend lines, I mean, the signal bar is so big that I'm just going to call it a green one as well. It's a little bit aggressive. But when it pulls back here and gives you a second entry long and closes back above the EMA, then you expect it to push on up. And so I like that one. It's not the greatest signal bar either, really, and you do end up with a little matching double high there. But I still kind of like that one. There's actually a failed second entry short right there. Um, it goes out the top and then turns back down and then goes back and closes there. But again, now you've got a break of the trend line and a new high, and it looks like 2 legs there, even though that might just be 1 leg. So I just don't think you want to risk that one. And then, of course, we just start going sideways. I marked this one as a maybe, and I'll explain that. I really don't like it. You actually had a failed break lower right here, but you got to get in almost back at the top. But then you get, notice this is a double top, so that's like a new high. It pulls back first entry, and that lower high makes that a second entry long. So it's a second entry long after a failed break lower. So you're probably going to, we traded up into this, so we'll probably push out the upper side. And you might get a trend that's equal to this leg right here, because that's really one move up and then your correction. So you might get another measured leg. I just think it's too risky to go long right there after a break and a new high and all that resistance. I think you're better off to skip it. But there's some really aggressive reasons to consider it. So I did mark it green just to keep people from asking, because I figure somebody will ask me about it. So actually, I recommend not taking it. And then we pull down, push down. We don't quite push through real easy. We pull back. That's a big bearish bar. So you might even argue to go short right there. As hard as it's been to find a trade, you might argue for that one. That's really bearish. So again, I'm not crazy about it, but I'll give it a green one. I think you're better off to skip it and see if you get the reversal pattern. But notice how it pushes on through and then pulls back. You get 3 touches of that trend line. It's a failed second entry long. It's a relatively bearish bar. You could have even waited on this one. The only problem with this one is you're right back down to the lows. But even here, you don't have a lot of room. But when you get that trap, guaranteed you trapped a bunch of longs there that don't know what's going on, and look at it go. And you can tell you trapped a bunch of longs and all the longs started exiting. That's why the bottom just falls out of it like that. So yeah, that was a really nice trap, and you know you caught a good one when it rockets like that. And not only did you probably trap people, but what happens is the longs realize, hey, the gig's up. If I want to keep any of my profits, I better exit. And so it just accelerates. So this was the trade of the day. You had to be very, very patient and wait on it. And then, of course, you get that leg down, and then you get, there's really 2 legs up here. So that's like a second, notice the new low, first entry pullback. That's a second entry short right off what looks like it ought to be a secondary trend line. And it's a big bearish bar. It is close to the lows, but after a move like that, you're going to probably test that low and make a new one. And you're probably going to make another leg down. And so I like that one. Sorry about that. But anyway, yeah, you're probably going to get another leg down, and you can see we got a perfect measured leg. There's leg 1, and then there's your measured leg. And we really, it might have even went 1 tick more. So but that's close enough to, you can see how accurate those things are. There's leg 1, and then there's leg 2, and we actually went one tick further. So yeah, I liked that one, and it actually pulls back here, but when it didn't push on through here and give you a breakout pullback short, this one, that makes this one a little bit iffy. Um, I definitely wouldn't add on, but if it breaks lower, it's probably going on down, and so you might consider entering there. Um, I'm not crazy about it though. And so then, of course, we shoot down, we pull back, you get another bearish reversal bar right off that trend line. Another reason I like that I made that one green is that does confirm the trend line. That's your first 2 swings, and that's your confirmation. And this is just a further confirmation of it if it breaks lower. Um, just remember your stop. This, even though this is your signal bar, your stop has to go up here. And again, there's a couple of legs back right to the trend line. There's still been no break. We end up getting a break here, but it doesn't stop you out. And this really then looks like a repeat pattern to this. So it's probably going to give you the same result. And so for that reason, I made this one green. But other than that, other than being a repeat pattern and off the trend line, and the fact that we don't quite have a measured move, and the fact that we haven't tested the lows yet. We still got a little ways to go. So you might consider that one just like very similar to here. Again, your stop would have to go above this bar right here. But again, I think I definitely wouldn't add on there, but if you didn't enter here, you might consider entering there. It's a little risky, but if you understood what's going on, you're looking for the measured move. Plus, now you've got a measured leg there, and you should get another measured leg. And look at there it is. Overshot it by a tick again. You might measure from there. And if you do, you got 2 extra ticks. So, but remember to measure this one as well. And of course, we get a bounce. We got a break and a new low. I don't see any reason to go long there yet. There is a failed second entry short there, so you might consider that. We are a good ways away from the EMA, and that's a reversal type pattern. Other than usually you want to see it shoot through the EMA and pull back, but we're so far away. We've been so far away so long. It's late in the day though, and you can't afford to make a mistake. But you're almost, if this thing breaks higher here, you know you've got some shorts that are going to have to exit, and you're almost guaranteed to get back to the EMA. I mean, this one's real close between being green and blue. I didn't mark it before, but I didn't look at it that closely before I started the chart lesson. I should have, because it is notice the new low, first entry, second entry. It's a failed second entry short. You do have some resistance there, but you're so far away from the EMA, and look how you haven't been back to it since, what is this, around 11 o'clock, 11:10. Time there is 11:16, and it's 1:45. We're overdue for a correction, a pullback, at least to the EMA. And so for that reason, I'll leave that one blue. So that does add one more trade. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trades today. So you got to be patient. The volatility is really low. The volume is somewhat low as well. The price action is still valid. Everything still works. You just get a lot more chop and stuff than you normally do. And but they all tend to work out if you just follow the price action rules. You might have to go long a little closer to highs or short a little closer to lows than you normally would. But if everything else falls in place, sometimes you got to risk it if you want to get a trade or two. I'm not crazy about the ones that are green, but you could argue for every one of them. So, yeah, I wish I could say it was a little better. Hopefully it'll pick up. We're getting back into the fall when everybody's coming back from school and all, and vacation, and so it should pick up. I hope it will. I think it will. So we'll see where it goes. But I'm going to wrap it up for today. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.